The camera caught everything. They sat there, they waited for the opportunity, waited for the dealers to be distracted, and you saw his hand slide in, pull out the card, and then the really disheartening part was he gave it to the 8-year-old boy to put in his pocket, and they walked off. According to the dealer, a very expensive Patrick Mahomes. I just looked it up, and it looks like it's a 2025 Topps Chrome Gold refractor PSA 10. It was number 20 out of 50, and I guess it had an estimated value around $15,000.
Hey, what's up, and welcome to the Collectors Club AI podcast. So I'm Dan McCabe with Erik Sjolie, and we are coming to you a couple weeks removed from the National right now, and a lot of things have been happening since the National that we want to touch on, talk about, and several items that have kind of popped up in the news recently. And I know you've been following these, Erik, so why don't you jump in? Why don't you start this section?
Well, before we start, I want to commend you because we're a couple months in now of recording these, and that is the first time you've ever pronounced my name correctly. So, Dan, thank you very much. Last time, I know you fired off a fun last name, but thank you very much. We're improving every week, so it's good to see.
It might be the last time I do it. You never know.
I know. Now that I said this, I know I'll never have my name pronounced correctly
Who knows
again.
what's happening?
I just dug my own hole, but hey, thank you. Just wanted to give credit where credit is due.
You can start calling me McCabe. I mean, I've heard them all. So.
What about Danny Boy? Can we just go Danny Boy?
There you go. There's a song after that. So.
Yeah, exactly. No, yeah, you're right. This week, a lot of things have popped up in the news as far as the hobby, and I thought there was a few things that were probably just important to touch on and chat about, because I know you and I probably have our own opinions on all of these, as well do listeners and everyone else in the community. So the first one is, I know, a big story that came out of the National. It happened while we were there, and I know it's always kind of the downside of humans, right? When you're in any environment where humans are involved and money and opportunity to gain is involved, sometimes you've got some bad players, or however you want to word it, in there. And there was a pretty high-profile theft that happened. It was recorded on video of an elderly man. I shouldn't say elderly. Someone that's 50, 60 years old or above, that had a young boy that looked like he was under 10 years old with him. The camera caught everything. They sat there. They waited for the opportunity, waited for the dealers to be distracted, and you saw his hand slide in, pull out the card, and then the really disheartening part was he gave it to the 8-year-old boy to put in his pocket, and they walked off. It happened to be according to the dealer, a very expensive Patrick Mahomes. I just looked it up, and it looks like it's a 2025 Topps Chrome Gold refractor PSA 10. It was number 20 out of 50. And I guess it had an estimated value around $15,000. So obviously it was a pretty substantial card that was stolen. Announced right away. The one thing I always love to see about the hobby is how everyone rallies around trying to find that card. Now, obviously, him trying to sell it in that same PSA slab would have been not good because certificate numbers. But I know it was being passed around. Look for this guy, look for this card, but was never found. So it was just announced in the news yesterday, the day before, that the Chicago police were able to actually track down this gentleman. He's a 61-year-old man just outside of Chicago. And they were able to retrieve the card. So the gentleman didn't crack the slab yet or even move the card. And it's being held right now for evidence. The rumor I also heard, and I don't know if you heard this, so again, anyone listening, I'm not going to the grave with this, but I heard that the dealer was from Europe. And he didn't want to fly back to Chicago to press charges, so he just wants the card back. And I guess he is not pursuing charges for this gentleman for the theft over $15,000. So that was a big thing in the news. Anything you want to add or anything you've heard on this?
I saw the same thing. I did not hear the follow-up the way that you just described it, so that's news to me. But I remember watching that clip on X. I saw it, and I was actually sitting with my boys, and I showed it to them because we were trying to figure it out. Because when you first watch the clip, you can't tell where the theft happens until somebody points it out. I mean, it's really sad for, obviously, that kid as well to be a part of that and be associated with that. And you just, you feel bad for whatever else he's got going on in his life, that's kind of the adult support
role model. Yeah, the role model he has, exactly.
Yeah, that he has around. And so it's rough. And I can only imagine that was one instance out of, I'm sure there was more out at the National. And there's cameras everywhere at that place. I mean, dealers have cameras up. The National has cameras up. We're going to be out in Dallas here in a couple weeks, and I know that right in the pod where we sit, the Dallas Card Show has cameras up everywhere because they dealt with a big theft issue a little over a year ago of a bunch of high-end cards that were stolen with a case, and I know there's a lot of question marks around that, but this stuff happens, unfortunately, and it's to me, it's almost surprising it doesn't happen more with the high dollar amount some of this stuff goes for.
Do you think it happens maybe more than we think, and maybe dealers don't even ever realize it's out of their inventory? Perfect example is one of the influencers, and I can't remember his name, reported a card stolen. He reports every night at the end of the show, hey, day 3 or whatever, and he said, hey, I had a card stolen. If you could just bring it back, I'm just going to assume it was an accident, you took it. Just bring it back, no questions, no ask. No questions, no problem, no harm, no foul. But then, I think 6 or 8 hours later, he retracted, sent another video and said, I just realized I sold the card and totally forgot. So there's that happens as well. So a funny story, because I guess the guy actually came and said, no, look, here's the card. I bought it from you, remember? And he's like, oh, my bad. So obviously cards are moving so fast that you have that side of it too. But then I was sitting here thinking $100, $200, $300, $400 cards, those might go missing. And when you're cleaning out you might forget or go, I probably sold it and just can't remember, especially if you have some friends in there working the booth with you. I know at the National, most booths had 3, 4, 5 people working it. So you might not know exactly who's selling. And, a lot of these people's accounting systems, which we're trying to fix here, is, they just take a picture with money and call it a day. And it's like, do they reconcile all those pictures? Who knows? So,
well, some of these people aren't even doing that. But everything you just described, yeah, it's in theory, if dealers were using a system like we have with Collectors Club where they're able to scan the QR code label that was generated beforehand and they know it's out of inventory, the transaction's logged, it solves multiple things for them. One, they would know what happened to the card. Two, it helps keep accurate books, which we know all dealers want to keep accurate books. So,
and all businesses do, right? No, I'm just kidding.
Right, yeah, we want to help with that.
Yeah.
But it's interesting watching how all the different dealers operate. They've all got their own little quirky systems, and it's something that I know that we're trying to work on, but different dealers are going to want to work different ways. But if you're running a business and it's got money involved and money's coming in and money's going out, you have certain responsibilities. And it's kind of the boring, crappy part of business, but it's also the really, really, really important part. It's not as fun as slinging cards and making deals, but it's probably the most important part if at the end of the day, what you really care about is your bottom line.
Yep. No, absolutely. So it'll be interesting on the staff to see how it plays out, if this guy ever gets pressed with charges and all that as well. But yeah, that was interesting to see. Another topic that's in the news that this hobby, and I'm not trying to start on such a down note here, so I promise we'll get better, but it looks like counterfeiting is on the rise in the industry. Obviously, it's been an issue for many, many years, right? I know PSA comes out and says they get more MJ rookie counterfeit submissions and Mickey Mantle rookie submissions and actual real submissions on an annual basis. But as prices continue to rise and the hobby continues to go global, it's only going to become more and more of an issue. The one thing that I saw was, I know it's PSA slab, they're being counterfeited. Yep. Raw cards are being counterfeited. Another one that just recently, I guess they've caught a number of these, are the redemptions. So, the redemption cards in packs that say, you redeem for a Shohei Ohtani out of 50 autograph or whatever. Those are being counterfeited and sold. So that is a interesting one because, for me, when I buy high value cards or any of those, I shy away for the most part, unless I know the person, from raw cards in those scenarios for that exact reason. I hope that PSA or CGC or Beckett or any of the major grading companies, if they're going to slab it, they've already tested it and know that it's not a counterfeit. Although I know that that's not always the case either. Some of those have slid through too. But when you get these redemptions, I know those move. I'm in a lot of collector groups like on Facebook and all that, and redemptions get sold all the time. Unredeemed redemption. So you buy it and then you're like, okay, I'll wait for Topps to send it to me. This is a problem. So it'll obviously, as that continues to rise, we'll have to see how the hobby responds for technology and all that. But what's your thoughts on that? Have you seen that, or have you ever encountered any of that?
No, it makes sense. It's easier probably in a lot of cases to create fake redemption looking card and you sell it. And if somebody has to send that in, unless there's a way to validate it right away, like on the spot, that this is real, you might not know for 3 to 6 months. I don't know how Topps is recently, but I've been part of plenty of redemptions that have taken 6 to 12 months to come back. And you might not know. You might get something. Actually, you might just never get anything back.
Correct.
They might not even communicate that, no, it was a bad redemption. They might not. I could see that one. I think that's kind of just the reality with how big this hobby's getting right now. And the bigger it gets, the more money involved, the more issues that we are going to have to look out for and just be diligent along the way, especially when you're dealing with higher dollar stuff.
Yeah. It's interesting. We say higher dollar, and that's where I would be. Obviously, that's where it would hurt the most, getting a counterfeit item. But counterfeits, it's across all. They're not discriminating. I mean, even some of the lesser priced cards, two $5 cards are being counterfeited. And our good friend Imran, who runs a local card shop here in the Sacramento area, he just did a video last week of a customer who brought in a couple of $20 or $25 or $30, somewhere right around there, booster boxes of Pokemon. So it was like a booster box that had like 4 packs in it. Counterfeit.
Huh.
So they actually did a video where they opened it up. The seal of the packs were harder to open, and the actual cards, again, they were all just regular cards like you get in a pack. So it wasn't even like, a God pack or anything like that. We're all a different material, different fill. The client who bought them paid, let's say $30 or so. So it wasn't even like a huge counter, but they're spending all this money, time, and this is the packaging of the box, the seal, the actual wrappers in the packs, and the cards, all counterfeit.
Yeah. We don't need to scare everybody away too much. There is still lots of good in the hobby, but this is something that you need to pay attention to.
Absolutely. But it is something. It's just like, when we talk about technology, I always say it's a race, right? So you get these counterfeiters, and now you get the hobby and the grading companies and all of that, and new technology that might be coming out to try to now get ahead of these counterfeiters to protect. I mean, every industry deals with it, but it's just practice your due diligence in there, and then make sure that you're just double checking a few things here and there. And if something smells a little fishy, I would dig a little bit deeper is what I would the caution.
And it's amazing. I mean, I think there's a lot more that people can do than they probably realize. I know there's more that people can do to look for counterfeits than even I realize, but a lot of times if you have any questions about it at all, just getting a small loop or something like that you can look at it a little closer with. There's so many resources online now to where you can check, like, what does the print pattern look like and things like that. It's not rocket science anymore to tell. You just need to know what to look for. So especially like those 86 Fleer and things like that, there's a lot of different ways to tell. And if you go on to your favorite AI or just a Google search on what to look for in counterfeit 86 Jordans, and you grab a small loop, most people could figure it out, but you have to think to actually do that.
Yeah. So just like anything, proceed with caution.
I wouldn't touch a raw 86 Jordan.
Yeah, I always wonder, like, when you find some of those high-profile cards, either A, why isn't it graded yet? Or B, is it a bad grade and it was just cracked and selling as raw now? I think when we were in Dallas, remember, there was that gold Buster Posey rookie I wanted, but it was raw. And in my head, I'm thinking, this thing had to have been graded at some point. So it's probably a 5, 6, or a 7 in a grade. And the idea of getting an 8, 9, or a 10 is probably out the window. But yeah, always things to think about. Yep. All right, so number 3 I have on here. So I made a little list of a few things in the news because there's been quite a bit since the National. Tom Brady CardVault, owned by Fanatics. I don't know if you saw the news, but they just did another round of investors that came in. Some high-profile investors. So what they're doing is they're going after some big names to bring more visibility, not only to their business, but to the hobby in general. So some of the names that are now going to be associated with the Card Vault with Tom Brady is Aaron Judge from the Yankees. He's part of the new investment group. Jay-Z, right? So now we're crossing over into the music industry. Connor David from hockey, right? The NHL player.
Connor McDavid.
Connor McDavid. You're right. Sorry. I had Connor David here, typo. Connor
I'm
McDavid.
Really good with last names.
Thank you very much. Yeah, you're fantastic at it. It takes a couple months, but you're good. And then the last one is Dana White, obviously the king of the UFC. So those are just some of the names. Obviously, there's more. But I think it's an interesting strategy, not only for Fanatics, Tom Brady, and the Card Vault, but for some of these athletes now, they're seeing where this industry is going. How much money is being pumped into it and how fast it's growing, that you get some of these people that say, hey, I can leverage not only myself, but now invest in this industry. So what's your thoughts or take on that as you're seeing more and more of these high-profile athletes and entertainers now get into the hobby?
I just had a conversation with somebody about this. Actually, I've had this conversation probably 2 or 3 times this morning already, as I've been talking to just a lot of different people about what our goals are with Collectors Club AI, and the part of the market that we really want to hit and serve being more so kind of the everyday collector, dealer, independent shop owners and things like that. Like you talked about last week on the podcast, is how much corporate money is right now entering the hobby. Yeah. It's almost like we're taking the people that supported this hobby from the beginning, the collectors, and even though they're the bottom, all the money starts down here and it's just feeding its way up to these big corporations. It's interesting to see how corporate the hobby is getting in. Tom Brady's CardVault. I'm glad Tom Brady's in the hobby. Like, I hope you'd love the hobby. He's, one of the best football players of all time, if not the best. Like, we need people like that in the hobby. But watching these people that are building, they want to build 100 shops across the country. There's other big corporate shops now looking to take over all the local shops. Like, I don't know. There's something that seemed to disappear 20 years ago when Home Depot finally squashed all the local mom and pop hardware stores. And people still want that personal connection. That's so much what the hobby is about. And I'm really curious to see, how do these big corporations, like, how could they maintain that community and culture that the hobby's been built on over all these years? It can't always be about 6-figure cards and, 5-figure, 6-figure, 7-figure cards and kind of this high-end place that all these corporations are trying to bring it to. Like, it's just not sustainable forever. You can't price out the masses is what I'm saying, and then hope that ultimately you're going to,
I think the strategy, like for Fanatics specifically, I think the strategy, and they're obviously associated with the CardVault. I just listened to an interview from the CEO, and their focus is to streamline nationally a client experience. But they have said, and he said multiple times on this interview, that they are committed to the local mom and pop card shops as well. They don't want that to go away. They think that's an important fabric of the hobby. And that's what they're trying to do with the allocations. I know, like, they released one of their basketball sets where they actually ripped the boxes, the seals on the boxes before shipping for the scalpers. So they're trying to give everyone kind of a fair shot. The second part that I thought was interesting is they only want to do things with athletes and entertainers that are actually really in the hobby, like Tom Brady is, like Carl Anthony Towns is, people that actually love and collect themselves, because he said he gets calls weekly from athletes that want to invest, but they actually do kind of vet these players, and if it's just like they want to be in because of money and put their name on it, he's not interested, he said. So with that idea, now that might change, but with that idea, then you hear the news of like Aaron Judge and Connor McDavid and Dana White and Jay-Z. They must have some love or passion for the hobby in some sort, unless, that might go by the wayside. But I think that'll also help exactly what you're talking about, is keeping this where it's a passion play as well.
I don't want to push back on what you're saying too much, but this is just from experience. If anybody from Fanatics wants to hop on and we can interview you, let's do it. I'd love to do it. I'd love to hear it from them. But I was at one of our reasonably sized, like very successful local card shops this past week, and my one son's been looking for what just came out, the new Topps Chrome basketball update, and they were sold out. They received 4 cases of blaster boxes. And that was their allocation for a shop that's been around for a long time and definitely has good ties to Fanatics. And I know anybody who's looking to start a shop right now, getting an allocation is... I would love somebody from there to tell me it's even possible, because from what I can tell and from the people I've talked to that have wanted to maybe go into opening a shop, there's no pathway for somebody really wanting to start a LCS somewhere in their hometown. So I don't know. It's all these Tom Brady card vaults. I mean, like I said, nothing but love for Tom Brady. Hey, Tom, you're welcome to come on the show as well. But I don't think they're going to ever be in jeopardy of allocation. Whereas, I think it's going to be harder for the smaller shop. And there's other big shops right now that are going around trying to buy the smaller shops. I don't know.
Every industry always has consolidation. With growth comes consolidation. That's inevitable. That's capitalist society. I mean, there's no way that there's going to be this perfect harmony where you're going to have all this money, the industry maturing, because that's what's happening. It's maturing, and it's going to stay how it was from 1980. That's not the progress that's going to happen. So there will be some give or take, but as long as the top of the funnel, being Fanatics and people that control some of this, has a heart and wants to see local card shops be around and be a part of it, and they really mean it, then hopefully they'll find ways for that to happen. But yeah, you're right. There will be consolidation.
And nothing against Fanatics. I think they're doing a fantastic job in a lot of ways. And I was pushing back on it a little bit because, we looked into this a little bit once upon a time with looking at, maybe opening a shop and stuff like that. I hope they figure it out. I mean, because I think it is an invaluable part of the hobby. Like going into some of the local shops where the owner's been around there forever, they just love cards. You sit there and talk to them. It's a different experience than going into something that's commercialized.
Yeah, no, totally. And I wonder if it's going to turn into kind of like, it makes me think of, just as an analogy, like the bar liquor license. Out here in California, it's impossible to get a liquor license, right? So beer and wine, easy, liquor license, impossible. So it's almost like a retirement fund for these small bar owners. So people go buy the bar, not for the bar itself or even the location. It's for the liquor license that you can move within the county. And I wonder if the allocation's almost going to turn into that for some of these local card shops. It's like, hey, when I'm ready to retire, there's value here because I have an allocation that can transfer, maybe. Who knows?
That makes a lot of sense. And I mean, to defend Fanatics a little bit too, there's only so much allocation that can go around, because if they blow it up too much, we're going to be back in the 90s.
Yeah, and they got them on for that. You're 100%. It's not an easy thing where it's just, print more. No. That's not always a thing. It's let's find ways to make this work. So you're absolutely right. There's a lot of levers they're pulling.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting here for the next couple of years. Keep tuning into our YouTube channel, because we'll be talking about it for quite a while, and I think we don't know what's going to unfold 3 to 6 months from now or 2 years from now. But we'll be here to talk about it.
All right, I'm going to jump into one last topic on the news, because obviously this was a pretty action-packed news. Whatnot. Obviously, the big live-selling streamers that breakers have been using, that's a huge part of the hobby now that gets mixed reviews. I know a lot of people love it. I know a lot of people don't like it, so it's pretty polarizing. They just went out and did a big series funding, about $545 million of cash funding raise, with a $20 billion valuation. Now, I know Whatnot isn't strictly for cards. It does a lot of other things for live selling, but it's very big into cards. And I know it's a big part of their strategy is our hobby. That's very interesting. They had a $20 billion valuation, raised $545 million. And this comes out at the same time within the last week. I don't know if you read the article that Wall Street Journal put out, but it speaks specifically on live selling and is talking about, and it uses some live references of people that have lost and gotten so into debt because of it. Like, it's and they actually reference a gentleman, I think out of New York, that over a year or two racked up like over $1 million of debt from buying sports cards on Whatnot. So it'll be interesting to see. Obviously, it's a hot arena, well used, a lot of money. I know a lot of people that love it. I know a lot of people have done really good careers off it. It's a great way to source cards if you're interested in that. I personally have never bought on Whatnot. I don't know if you have.
Yeah, no, I haven't. It seems like it's improving quite a bit, and the only reason I haven't really, and I don't buy on a lot of streams. I've got my own sources for how I like to buy cards. Don't do much of the purchasing via live streams, like how they sell there. In the beginning, 2-3 years ago, there was a lot of breakers on there. They were kind of allowing a lot of people in there, and there was issues with different breakers. No fault of Whatnot necessarily, but some of these people weren't always of the highest moral standard necessarily. So there was some issues, and I think it just kind of turned me away at the time. I'd be much more intrigued going back now. I feel like they've done a lot for regulating that and vetting the people that are on there and creating better guidelines for how people perform and deliver on the services that they're offering and the cards that they're breaking and things like that, whether it's breaking or repacks or whatever it is. And I know they do a lot of stuff around repacks now where they don't allow you just to sell repacks that you've repacked. They got to come from a third party, and there's got to be different validations. So I think they've improved a lot with their growth. I haven't purchased there. The only reason was some bad tweets I probably saw 3 years ago, but I want to say for their sake, I mean, obviously they worked through those problems because their presence at the National was massive, and we actually had a blast hanging around all their different streamer booths, me and my 9-year-old there for a while when we were at the National.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know you and I, when we would walk, we'd be like, hey, we're tired, let's get a little energy, so we'd go walk through the Whatnot area. I think they hit it out of the park. It was actually one of my favorite areas of the National. The way they did it, and they almost had you walked in, they had all their popular streamers in little areas, and you got to watch them live doing it. And it was just so much energy. They had a lot going on, giveaways. Every time you walk by the stage, they had was Logan Paul up there. One time, Mike Tyson's up there. It's like, what's going on up here? UFC fighters are up there. It was a blast watching it happen.
Logan
Bo
Paul
Jackson.
walked right in front of me. I was like, "Hey, look, that's Logan Paul."
Yeah.
Bo Jackson was 10 feet away from me. And
Yeah.
like,
So it was really cool. So they hit it out. But I think it's just when you see big fundraising like that where they raise 545 million speaks to a couple things. One is they're growing substantially. Investor confidence is high or good for people to put in money when they're doing a series of raising funds, and they're not going away. It's not whether you like them or not. It's part of this hobby. Breakers are a big part of this hobby, and it's starting to become part of the fabric of collecting as well. So like you said, I think just regulations and controls, probably not a bad thing for some people that have an issue with self-control. I'm always about the self-accountability piece too. We're all adults here, so it's hard to blame the breakers for that. But again, I do know there's a million stories of people that overpay or get in trouble. But overall, whatnot, I think is doing great.
It was breakers that were, doing shadier things back then, which I think they worked through that. And I actually like the breaking culture a little bit. I think the markets will ultimately regulate the breaking that's out there. I mean, and prices will kind of normalize. But I love the idea of entering like if I wanted to spend cards on opening packs, I would rather just buy my favorite team in a case break. I mean, that'd be way more fun for me. And then I actually used to do a lot of that with a company. I think they're out by you, like Mojo Breaks.
I don't know where they're at. I've heard of them, but I don't know where they're located at.
I think they're out somewhere in California, but this was a long time ago, probably pre-COVID.
California's big though, so when you say
we were
out by
doing
me,
a lot of breaks with them, me and my son, like always buying the Seahawks because he loved the Seahawks, and I had a blast watching those things. We'd go on road trips and just buy into break after break after break, but it was also a lot less expensive back then because they were buying Prism boxes for $200 and case breaks were $40 to buy the Seahawks, whereas now those boxes cost $1,500 or whatever they are.
I don't know if you saw the big NBA debut got pulled for Cooper Flag.
Oh yeah.
The guy paid like $515 for the Dallas spot and got a card. I think it's like $5 million or $3 million or something like that. So pretty good return of investment on that break.
Yeah, there is about there's probably another 1,000 people that paid $500 for Dallas and other breaks that did not get that card. But...
That is true.
Anyways, all right.
Let's keep going here. I want to switch to kind of a segment of collector clubs here. Obviously, next month you're heading to Dallas. You'll be at the Dallas Card Show representing Collectors Club, and you're also going to act as a dealer there, I think, transacting. We have a pretty good card show coming up, an autographed card show that True Sports Cards puts out in the Sacramento area here at the beginning of September that I actually got a booth for. So I'll be representing Collectors Club as well as first time ever soloing, and really, other than that time we just test piloted some stuff at Dallas, first time me acting as a dealer transacting. So I was pulling some of my cards together. So one of the things that I'm going to utilize, and I'm actually going to record and kind of create a little vlog or video on as a true first-time user of this, is the card show mode in Collectors Club. So I thought it would be good for you just, over a minute or two, kind of just give it a very high-level, quick kind of idea from when you're getting ready the week before, right? Getting ready the week before for the card show, what you kind of do, and then how it actually functions at the card show to streamline your business, professionalize your business, organize your business so you can really transact at a high level and have all your stuff together and make the experience much more enjoyable for you and the buyers.
Is it more enjoyable for the dealer? Maybe, maybe not. It's a little bit of work up front, but like we talked about earlier in this podcast, it's like you have to do this work and it needs to be done one way or another. And is it easier than, looking up comps and handwriting stickers? Yes, I believe so. We've got a mode in there in the collection where it's basically just show prep, that you can click on show prep, click all the cards that you want to bring to the show, and it'll print out the labels for you. It'll also print out QR codes that come along with it. Now, you could have these cards listed in your online store. You could have them listed on eBay. You could have them listed in different places, but if you sell them at the show, it's set up, and this technology will only get better kind of as we grow, but you click and take a picture of that QR code inside of the app, and it will effectively remove it from your online store. It'll delist it from eBay. It will log it as a transaction inside of your Collectors Club account. So to your point earlier, if the guy who didn't know he sold the card, I mean, you scan this, and it'll say like, all right, how much did you sell it for? How did you get paid? And you just... you have to make a quick note. I mean, you have to keep records. I sold it for $200. I got paid in cash, or he sent me a Venmo, or whatever it is.
So you'd scan that QR and then put $200 cash.
Yeah. If you really, really want to be diligent and help your business grow into the future, then you could, if you wanted to, get that buyer's name and information and plug that into the transaction. It'll actually log that into your Collectors Club account. So like, let's say it's a Buster Posey card that I sold Erik, and I log Erik in there. Like, and this is totally optional. You don't have to do this. I realize card shows go fast.
Why wouldn't you do this though if you could?
But if you wanted to do it, then the next time I load a Buster Posey card into my collection, you can set up your app to notify Erik, hey, there's another Buster Posey card in Dan's online store. Maybe you want to take a look quick. There's a lot of different things there from an operation standpoint that I think are going to help, especially the small dealers or people that are kind of weekend warriors, father-son teams that just want to spin up their collection. I mean, that's what we're really shooting for. We do have some card shops that are starting to utilize the tool as well, and we'll be building out more infrastructure for them. But it's designed to ultimately, the ultimate growth plan for the app is to make it just incredibly easy for you to keep good, accurate records and actually see if your collection is growing in value or decreasing in value, which is important for a lot of you. You need to know.
Let me ask you this then, just to make sure I'm understanding this correctly and just rephrasing it for anyone listening. So I have all my cards listed in my collection on Collectors Club. I go through and just start clicking the boxes and say there's 120 cards I want. Move over to prep mode. From there, I can print the labels. And on the labels, is it just the price it prints, or can you also put notes like 2011 Topps Chrome Buster Posey? And could you put like Pop 1 so it's all typed nice, or is it just the price that would be on the front?
So close. It can be the price, it can be the price and the QR code, it can be the price, the QR code, and like the year and the set that it's in. We do not have it set for the population yet, which is something that...
You can't add notes into it, just so I'm making sure I'm understanding it at this point.
Yeah, we don't have a way for you to add like specific notes, but that is something that we're looking to add, whether it's population or serial number would be a big one if it's like 32 out of 50.
That QR code, is that part of that front label? I was assuming it was a second label.
It's on the back.
That'd stick like on the back of the card. So when I go to sell it, I just scan the card from the back, slide it over, make my notes. And to your point, if dealers got into the habit, right? So you and I being in other businesses, we know that databases are as valuable as the businesses themselves. If you got a habit of saying, hey, real quick, I'm building my database because I see that you're buying this Michael Jordan card. Would love to communicate with you in the future if I get more Michael Jordan cards that might be a really good deal for you, and we give, special packages for repeat buyers or however you want to word it. Can I just get your email real quick and add it in there? You and I always talk about the one thing this hobby is horrendous about, whether it's eBay, storefronts, card shops, card shows, is databases and client life cycles, right? Lifespans. Most transactions are one and done across all of those. If you could get a client that now you've retained some bit of information, just, not even a phone number, just a email, and you can start communicating, you could get a client that, you might do multiple transactions over the next 6 or 12 months with. What a way to supercharge your business. So to get back to what you're saying then, so we'd prep, scan, put on the front, it could say the year of the card, player's name, and have the price. The back would be the QR code. So when I slide it out, everything looks uniform, everything looks nice in my box. And when I go to sell a card, I just scan the back, put the price in, and if I want any additional information on, and it's going to start reconciling all that, so I can have a running total of what I sold at the card show and go, okay, I sold 25 cards and for $2,300, right? I mean, is that an accurate statement?
Yep. You've got a pretty good handle on it. So, I mean, as we grow here and as more people are using it, we'll just keep refining that process. But you've got it basically nailed down. So
that sounds so slick, and I'm excited. So anyone listening here, I'm actually literally going to be using it real time for the first time myself as a end consumer. So the show's in a couple of weeks, so probably next week I will start that card show prep mode, and I'll give feedback. I'll give honest feedback, whether it's cumbersome at first, if it's easy, if it's streamlined. Obviously, it might be a little bit more work up front, but I think it's going to make the whole actual card show experience and selling experience much smoother. So I'm really, really excited on that. Doing a little more work up front to make the back end that much better and more accurate.
Yep, for sure. So,
all right,
looking forward to that.
All right, last segment I'm throwing in here. I'm calling this is the first time we're doing this, and you have no idea what this is, Dan, but I'm calling it the fair or foul section. Came up with a couple of questions, and I just want your real-time, honest, candid opinion, fair or foul. Fair being basically true, foul being false, and anything you want to add on it. So the first question: are the current prices and price increases that we're seeing on the GOATs, right? So over the last 3 to 6 months, the market has been very concentrated on the Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant's, Messi's, King Griffey Jr., Barry Bonds, Shaq's getting love now, Steph Curry's. Is that sustainable? Fair or foul, Dan?
It takes some grief for this one, but I'm going to say foul.
Okay.
We've been around different markets, both you and I. You and I are both been in different businesses over the years, which, with just the love of the hobby, and we're getting into this one. Markets go in cycles, and I believe this one will correct. I don't know when. I think a 30% correction will be healthy, but I also think that it's not going to go where prices were even 3 or 4 months ago. So there's going to be a correction, though. I don't see it continuing this direction forever.
Yeah.
But markets always go in cycles, right? So they go up, they go down. Like in the long run, sure. Talk 20 years out, they'll be up.
Yeah, so for me, I'm going to say foul as well with a caveat here. So one is, I know, let's take Tom Brady, for instance. His has, tripled or something like that over the last year. I don't know the exact on certain cards. Obviously, the correction is not going to be like, oh, you're going to lose most of those gains. I think it's going to be a small gain small loss. I think 30% might be a little steep. I'm thinking more like a 20% correction. I do think a new floor is created, though. So I think the days of, a Tom Brady rookie Chrome 10 at $5,000 or $7,000 is gone, right? I think those days are gone. What I think you're seeing is the collectors, investors, I guess you want to say, I'll just call them investors, are getting more mature and smart with their money. So I think it's always puzzled me when you'd see these prospect quarterbacks that even played a down in the NFL that are worth more than like a Tom Brady rookie or a Steph Curry rookie. And it was always like, what is going on here? And I know there's a part of prospecting that's fun in this hobby. I think a lot of that now, so many people have been burned and left holding the bag on those that people are like, hey, I mean, myself included, so I'm a perfect example of this. Hey, I'd rather invest my money in something that someone that has a proven track record, that has that resume, and then scarcity is the second part. We're obviously seeing, of those GOATs that I mentioned, it's a lot more of their rare cards, like the top chromes over the paper, that you're seeing the bigger jumps on. And it's also factoring in like the 90s refractors and like low numbered cards to 50 or 100 parallels. Those have taken a boom as well, because the scarcity issue, right? I mean, they're just, you can't get a lot of those, and they're not really available much. So I do call foul, though. I just don't think it's sustainable.
I think it'll be, I was always kind of into the GOATs, so fortunately I have that going for me. But, I'm in Minnesota here, and Kyler Murray just got named the starting quarterback. Maybe he's going to...
Did he really? I didn't know that.
Yep. So
breaking news right here on Collectors Club AI. Dan's reporting before Adam Schefter
breaking
or
on
whatever.
ESPN 2 days ago, but it made it now. So,
ESPN
all right,
Dojo. I got, this is one that's out of your wheelhouse, so I thought it would be fun. Will Pokemon continue to stay as hot as it has? Obviously, that's hotter than any industry. I know Disney's catching major fire right now, too, but Pokemon has just sustained and had this rise for years now. Do you see that continuing? Fair or
Same
foul?
answer, foul. I mean, I was talking to a big Pokemon buyer yesterday. He's a very transactional buyer, doesn't hold inventory more than a week typically, just in and out, in and out, in and out. But he was telling me, some of these cards, 20x to 100x gains in the last couple of years. Like, you'd have to do a lot to convince me that is sustainable.
I'm going to call foul as well, but here's my theory behind it. One is, I know you probably see on the videos of people like fighting at Target and lines. It's just ridiculous, people that wait for these drops for Pokemon packs. My theory is, with the PSA shutdowns of lower tiers and Beckett's and just everyone's prolonged, Pokemon was one of the ones that you could pack pull a card and get these huge returns on PSA 10s. And their printing is so good that PSA 10s aren't as hard to get as in the sports side, I would say. So you could pull these cards that were raw $5, $6, $8 and sell them for hundreds of dollars in a PSA 10, like huge multipliers. And I think now with that lower tier gone, I think you're going to see that strategy not be able to be fulfilled, thus driving down the demand. I'm already seeing it. We have a local Target. I was just in there the other day that, Target set up those new collector corners that had Pokemon available. 6 months ago, that's unheard of. People camping out the night before and all that, and there was Pokemon packs available. So I think you're already starting to see the slowdown. I think it's a direct result more of the PSA slab issues, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, CGC is still grading them, but they're pushed out a little bit on bulk still. I was talking to them yesterday. They're still getting just piles. And at least the price difference between a PSA 10 and a CGC 10 in Pokemon is not as drastic as it is in Sport.
Correct. Yeah, it's well more accepted on the non-card sports card side. And the last one, it's going to kind of circle back to the beginning conversation. How important do you think it is for the hobby to have players now, like sports players, that are actually collectors and more at the forefront of the hobby. I know it's part of Fanatics' build model as far as building out the hobby and getting more notoriety. How important do you think that is for the hobby to have some of these players that we collect to also be in the hobby and be around? You know, you're at a card show and all of a sudden it's like, hey, there's so and so. I'm collecting his card. I mean, that's adding to the experience and everything. But how important do you think that is?
I mean, I'll go with fair because what the hobby always did, and I'll go back to your story a little bit, my story with my kids, is it was always a way for us as fans of sports, and it was a way for us to connect and be a part of that sport. So having the actual athletes there and be a part of the hobby as well just gives us that extra little connection point. And we've seen, I mean, obviously a lot of pro athletes were down at Fanatics Fest. Some of them were even, or not Fanatics Fest for sure. We weren't there, but at the National. But even over at Dallas, who was that guy that kept walking by our table from
Grant
the
Williams?
Kings? I'm going to mess up his name. It's like Willie Cauley.
Oh, Willie Cauley-Stein in Dallas. Sorry, I think you're talking about the National. Sorry, yeah, Willie Cauley-Stein, Kentucky product, Sacramento Kings. That was pretty cool to see. Yeah, that was
walking
fun.
around though, he's like, what's almost 7 feet tall.
I got a picture of him, and I look like a hobbit next to him. Let's be honest. It was pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, no.
And I'm 6'1".
Right? So, I mean, I'll go fair with that one. It's cool. It's part of that connection that that drives a lot of us into the hobby.
Well, I know in the National, Grant Williams, he was walking around a lot. He's a huge collector. He came by our booth multiple times. We got pictures with him, and I know he was donating some of his game shoes. Like Imran got some shoes that he's auctioning off for a good cause for charity. So I know, you see them bouncing around. He was there all 5 days, buying cards and moving around and talking. So that was pretty cool to see. Okay, I'm going to say fair as well. I think it's a huge, huge strategic play by Fanatics, and I think it's really neat to see current players now collecting, ripping. I know Karl Anthony Towns does live breaks. I know, some other pitchers in baseball do live breaks, so you got to now buy into breaks that are their own channels. I mean, it's not even like they're doing it for fun, and you got to see this
for fun, but
you know what I'm saying. They're doing it as part of their thing. I know here we have some of the A's players that come into local shops and they rip after hours with some of the shop owners because they're collectors. They're always reaching out to shops. Hey, can you get this card? Can you get this? So that's pretty neat to see. But I also think it just brings legitimacy, but also makes it cool, right? Makes the hobby cool and hip, and it's no longer like this nerd hobby. It's, hey, no, card collecting is cool, and same players you see on the field doing these incredible things are now at the same card shows, searching for their favorite cards for their PC as well. So it's just, I think it ties it all together and brings it full circle in a great way. So that's all I got for you, Dan. This was a great show.
Appreciate you copying each one of my fair or foul answers.
Well, you got lucky. I was shooting from the hip. I already had mine written down. But yeah, I think you saw my blinking or my body language. You knew what to answer.
Right? No, obviously,
I'll plan them next episode. I'll do more controversial, less softballs. And for the next one, I'll get ones that I think we'll disagree on. I'll actually purposely do it because I know we'll disagree on them.
Do it. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, we'll do a hot take.
All right. Well, for the people listening, one, we appreciate all the traction that we've already gotten on YouTube and the different shorts that you guys have been watching. Really appreciate it. If you can, like the channel, subscribe, do all those things, make comments. We'd love to interact with you. It's been a lot of fun. I love seeing the traction because when we first started recording these, we just kind of were doing it, and now it's really kind of taking off, which is really, really fun to see. And I talked to multiple people earlier today that signed up for their free trials in the Collectors Club AI account, so you can find that link here as well.
Sign up, guys. Get in here and test it out. We're doing big things.
Get in, test it out. I'm doing demo calls on a regular basis, and I want to keep doing that because we're early on right now, so your feedback really matters to us. We are here because we love this stuff. We both come from different backgrounds as far as what we've done professionally for work, but we've both always been in the hobby. I couldn't be happier or feel more blessed right now to be able to take the profession I've been doing for so long and just bring it into the hobby and make this kind of my full-time gig and where I'm spending all my time. I'm having so much fun. Having my kids out at the National was a blast. I'm going to bring one of them out to Dallas with me and just keep doing that. So I appreciate everybody for listening. Erik, it's always fun.
Always fun, my man.
We're going to do this again next week. We'll see you guys then. Thanks a lot.
All right. Thank you, guys.